Welcome to ePathshala lecture series in computer science, and this is a course in cloud computing. In this module, we will discuss the cloud storage. So, today's learning objectives are, we will first look at the cloud storage, what are the services, and then we will see the cloud storage system, and then we will see the different models that are there and look at what is storage virtualization, followed by summary. So, storage system, what is the definition? Specifically, a cloud storage system is a network of distributed data centers which have specific characteristics. It uses certain technologies like virtualization for to be called a cloud. Just a data center is cannot be called a cloud. It has to have the cloud specific utilization of technologies. It offers an appropriate interface to the customers for storing data. If it is a compute cloud and it has many high speed processors, but not to a large amount of storage, then we do not call it a cloud storage system, but still it could be a cloud system. So, it should have an appropriate interface for the users to store and access data, and this is offered as a storage service. So, cloud storage system or cloud storage service, this is called. So, this is a service provider whose virtualized storages storage servers are to be used by the consumers or the users. So, what is the important thing about cloud storage and how does it differ from local storage? This is how we can think of. First, if we look at the working environment, a local storage indicates that the storage is at least inside the premise, of the user. So, typically I will use a server and that server has whatever storage requirement, or I will use a environment, a networked environment which is attached to a SAN kind of a storage where I can access. Whereas a cloud storage is a remote storage, it is not in premise, typically it is off premise. In case of private cloud, even though it is in premise perhaps of that organization, but still it will be virtualized and away from the user. Then if you look at the control of data, in local storage data is completely controlled by the user, whereas in a cloud storage the data will be controlled. In fact, user has no control over the data, the way it is kept, where it is kept, how many parts the data is divided, all these are under the control of the service provider and not in the control of the cloud user, which is totally in contrast to what happens in a local scenario. Then continuous access of the data, in local storage it is localized access, in cloud localized access and anytime anywhere access. How we distinguish between these two? In a local storage I have to physically be in the place where the storage is available, only then I can access the storage. But in a cloud storage, as it says anytime anywhere, we can access it from anywhere in the world if we have an internet connectivity. And then the amount of storage, the storage here number 4 says the amount of storage. Local storage will be limited because there will be one server or one SAN will be used by many employees if it is an organization. But cloud storage is supposed to be elastic and it is supposed to be unlimited. We have been seeing various ways of making it look unlimited, but to a user it looks unlimited. So, therefore, it is an enormous capability that the provider has to amass to be able to make it a cloud storage. Then the storage control, again it is the control of the local administrator, that could be the user, that could be other IT administrators of an organization, but in a cloud storage, the particularly in private public or community cloud of say kind of scenario, the control is totally external. The overall storage control is external and the data control is also in someone else's hand. Cost, obviously local storage is cheaper, because once we buy it we repeatedly use the same storage, whereas that is not the case in case of a cloud storage. Every time we require storage we have to pay for it. So, initially it could be expensive to have local storage, but in the long run a cloud storage may prove to be expensive, especially if we are consuming a lot of storage. So, it depends on the business needs. It cannot be said it is expensive or inexpensive, but definitely in cloud storage the maintenance cost and also the initial expense of spending money for buying the local storage is saved in a cloud. But as we are saying that in the long run it may prove to be more expensive than a local storage. Connectivity, it does not require, local storage does not require internet connectivity at all. So, always connected. In cloud storage it should be always connected, but it is dependent on the internet. So, therefore, it is has a factor based on which it can be done. Last but not the least, collaborative capability of the storage. Local storage does not have collaborative capacity. It cannot be used or shared by many people at will, whereas cloud storage is meant to be in a collaborative state. So, these are the comparison of local storage versus cloud storage. So, what are the advantages of having a using a cloud storage? Definitely ease and convenience. I do not have to buy a hardware, I do not need to install it, I do not need an IT department. I can simply borrow, rent and use as much storage as I want. It is fault tolerant, because cloud service provider will ensure that the data is kept in different places and is taken care of the facts of situations like a disaster, natural disaster, or some kind of malicious attacks, and it is a distributed, they keep the data in a distributed fashion and highly redundant fashion. So, therefore, it is fault tolerant. Highly durable through the creation of version copies. So, if we have a software which will keep on, which will are creating, which we are making changes to, so the all these versions will be maintained in cloud. So, therefore, even if I do something wrong in nth version, we can always go back to n-1th version and use the earlier version. So, durable using versioning, using the versioning mechanism. Typically, cloud uses eventual consistency that we have seen in an earlier module. All the replicas will be eventually consistent. So, therefore, whichever replica is still there in case of a huge destruction, if some replica is saved, that replica we can expect to be consistent with whatever we have been doing till the end. Unlimited space and scalability, since the cloud provider takes care of it, therefore, the amount that we can rent is not limited, and therefore, we can scale up and scale down at will. And universal access, we can access it from anywhere, and reliability and cost is balanced, is optimized. How reliable it is and how much I am paying for it is an optimized factor. So, what are the different types of storage? We define it as two types. One is the basic cloud storage service. These are the storage services that we are talking about. One is the basic storage service and the other is the advanced storage service. In basic, we do not expect users to be accessing a cloud storage directly. It will be through some API, and the application will access the storage. So, it is like Gmail, it is like all these mechanisms which uses a cloud storage. We Google Drive, we have a lot of space. Google Drive gives an individual user 15 GB of free space, and we can access it, but only through the given API. We do not know where Google is keeping my data, and we are not expected to know how it is kept, or things like that. Amazon S3, Rackspace, Nirvanix, all these are example of a basic cloud storage device. An advanced storage device will be where it's also basic. In addition to that, the applications are simplified so that we can access it much easily. Dropbox is an example of such things, where the API allows easier integration of third party software. So, if we are writing, again Google Drive will be an example where we can easily collaborate with each other, and we can have a Excel file which we will share with each other and collaboratively upgrade and update it. So, Dropbox and Mozy are examples of such cloud storage. Before we go further into cloud storage, let us see what are the generic generic storage data storages that are there. It depends on classified based on the access method and the type of storage. There are three types of access methods that are there. We can have a block level access, where a block of data is being accessed by the user. We can have a file level access. Rather than a file, how it is different from a block is, a file can be bigger than a block or smaller than a block, but it does not concern us. We create a file and we store it and we access it. And the third is an object based access, where based on the objects that we create, we can take the access. The other way of looking at storage is the type of storage. We have DAS, SAN and NAS. These three we will just now look at. So, DAS is direct access and attached storage. This is the most fundamental and basic kind of data storage that we look at. This is a block level storage, and SAN and NAS are dependent on using DAS. The storage devices are connected directly to the server or even the client devices, and the applications if the application require very frequent and quick access to the storage, DAS is the perfect use. So, many storage systems like SCSI, ATA, SATA, all these are created using DAS. So, direct access storage looks like this. These are our clients, and these are the application servers, and these are the storage devices which are connected to the application servers, and clients can easily access the storage through these servers, because they access the servers and therefore they are devices are accessible to them. But what is the shortcoming? It is a static configuration, because it is directly attached to the application servers. It is a static configuration. Cost is very high and scalability will be very limited, because the device has specific number of ports beyond which it cannot be scaled up. And also these kind of storages cannot be kept very far off, because they are dependent on the bus. It's accessed through bus. So, therefore, distance is a limitation. The next storage model that we look at is called the SAN, which is storage area network. This is a dedicated there is a dedicated high speed network that connects many storage devices in this model. It is made available to multiple servers. So, I have a set of storages. I use a high speed network to connect it to multiple servers, and each of these servers will be able to access the storage. Obviously, because it is not directly connected to a device, it is highly scalable. How many storage devices I am attaching or removing is not known to the application servers, and typically uses either the fiber channel or it is using the TCP. Based on that, we call it a F6 SAN or IP SAN. This is how it looks like. So, when there are clients using LAN, they will connect to the application servers, and the storage devices also will be connected through the storage area network, and these devices will be connected through this. So, what is happening on this side of SAN is not visible to the application servers, thereby it makes it very highly scalable. The third type, which is network attached storage or NAS, is again a dedicated file storage device. It provides file based storage through Ethernet connection. That is why they are called file servers. In a LAN, if there is a NAS that resides, it is as an independent network node, and it will have its own IP address. So, a NAS can be directly accessed over the network. It provides different clients can access the NAS directly over the network. So, these are the clients, and this is our network, and these are the this is the storage, and the clients can connect. So, without having a server in between, the client through the network can directly access the storage. So, these are the three systems where this is the storage, this is the networking being used only by SAN and NAS, and this is our DAS, which directly is attached to the disk storage. So, now when it comes to cloud storage, it will involve all these, some one or many of these, and only difference will be that it will be an off-site. It will not be in the premise or directly accessible to the client. So, it will be composed of thousands of storage devices, and we have to respect the service level agreement. We have to use the storage resource pool mechanism. The interfaces have to be proper. All these concepts must be utilized in this, and users will be able to download a file or make modifications in the file in the storage itself. Typically, cloud storage will have a layered architecture. So, the lowest layer will be the storage layer, where all the physical storages are there. So, in this layer, it is the heterogeneous type of the devices, either the fiber channel or IP such as NAS or DAS kind of, all kind of storages can be there. These devices are distributed across different regions based on the data centers, and they will be connected over the WAN or internet or using dedicated fiber channel. The next layer will be the infrastructure management layer. Here all kinds of infrastructure management mechanism will be utilized. So, this is the most difficult part of the storage because it uses all concepts of distributed file system and grid, but it ensures that multiple storages are talking to each other and is able to give a appropriate service. It ensures that the data in cloud is not accessed. The encryption part of it ensures that an unnecessary or wrong access has not happened. The third layer, which is the application layer, where the data will be utilized. This is the application interface layer and is the most flexible part. Different storage providers can develop different application interfaces depending on the provider. They will generate it. For video surveillance, there will be application. For data archiving, there will be application. For remote data backup, also there will be a specific. The last one, which is the access layer. This access layer is the authorization of the user and ensures that the proper user has the access to the proper data. So, a standard application interface should be used at this layer, and different, again depending on the service provider, they will decide the mechanism. So, what are the different types of storage models that we have? We have public storage, private cloud storage and hybrid storage. Public, where we can have anybody can access the storage, the server will be in the remote place and internet will be the connectivity, and it will be subscription based utility. Thin client or any other device at the side of the user is fine. These are the examples. Private storage, which is the in-house but protected by creating a data center kind of thing. It is not accessible to public, but single organization, and it will implement virtualization, and it will create the data center. A hybrid is that when it requires, it can go to the public from private. So, a storage technique will be both internal as well as external cloud storage. Security is less risky than public storage, but riskier than private storage. It will be virtualized. Multi-tenancy is a very important factor in cloud, and in storage the concept of multi-tenancy is that simultaneously it will be able to support so many accesses of so many users. So, in different layers, in application layer we will support multi-tenancy. In server layer, the OS and the virtualization, server virtualization will support multi-tenancy. In network layer, this IP security supports encryption, thereby ensuring multi-tenancy in storage. In the storage layer itself, there will be logical number unit masking and SAN zoning, which will be which will make the storage accessible to multiple users. Now, overall service architecture will be this. So, we have a third party auditor, we have the users, and we have the cloud servers. And whenever the user is needs on demand, they will ask the third party authority to third party auditor to do an audit, and the cloud service has to go through the auditing, and data will be flown between the server and the cloud service provider and the user. So, these three elements, users or tenants, the server and the third party auditor, these three elements, entities together create the cloud storage service architecture. So, what is a storage virtualization? The process of grouping the physical storage and not allowing users to know the where this data is available is essentially the main part of storage virtualization. So, it will look like a single storage device to the user. The user will not know in how many parts the data is split and where it is stored. So, the internal functions are not known. Thereby the provider can easily back up and has the opportunity of recovery. It hides the actual complexity. So, three important reasons to implement virtualization: it will improve the heterogeneous environment, it will make data better available, and the downtime, if some storage server is down, a backup in the other server will be accessible to the user. So, the user will not be affected by this, and better utilization of storages. Virtualization techniques can also be applied to different functions like RAID groups, like logical number units, like loan subdivisions, different storage zones and different volumes, etc. What is the limitation of cloud storage? There are a few limitations. A partial tolerance, because always it is not possible to ensure that fault is masked. Data security, in terms of end of the day, data is not within the control of the user, and therefore many restrictions that has to be there on the data may not be followed by the service provider, and therefore less control of course is automatically. So, there are many popular storage options. We will look at a few. Dropbox is a very popular storage option. It's the ease of use. Dropbox is very easy, its API is very easy, but the amount of space is limited. Google Drive is another very popular publicly available data storage. Its strength is that it has all the editors are inbuilt. So, we want to work on a Word file or we want to work on an Excel file, it can be easily done in Google Drive because it has the editors built in. Therefore, thereby allowing collaborative work, but its weakness is that sharing is a little more difficult than what is there in Dropbox. Microsoft SkyDrive is another option. It offers much larger storage space and collaboration is permitted, but the free storage is not is a problem. So, to summarize this module, the cloud storage services, we looked at what are the storage services. We saw how the cloud storage system performs, and we looked at the different models of storage, and we looked at the service architecture and what happens when we virtualize the storage, and we looked at 3 popular cloud storage options that are available for public usage. In the next class, we will look at 2 examples of popular cloud storages that are being used. These are our references. Thank you.